Is Texas a lock to win the Big 12? Or simply to put it, is the Big 12 Texas footballs to lose?
Hmm. They're my overwhelming favorite to win the conference, but there's TCU, there's Kansas State, there's Kansas. You might be thinking, well, Sam, where's Oklahoma? I don't trust Brent Venables. End of story. Um, TCU, Kansas State, Kansas. There's an interesting. I think those teams are interesting, but Texas, best roster, best talent. I mean, I think if they don't win it this year, it's very discouraging heading into SEC play.
Man, like, I'm going to pick them to win it, but I'm not going to say they're locked to win it. Because I really feel like Kansas is going to be like that this year. I feel like Kansas is going to be that team that's going to be this version's college football seasons of last year's Tennessee. They got a lot of guys coming back. As a matter of fact, they have a ton of production coming back. You have a very great quarterback in Jalen Daniels, who a lot of people forget. Before he went down with that injury, he was a legitimate Heisman contender. Like, he was in the conversation, and Kansas was 5-0. So they got a lot of production coming back. I think that they maybe pull off the upset against Texas. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but I'm saying there's a chance because I think that Kansas is going to be able to get up with Texas this year. Because, Texas is going to be riding high off that big win against Alabama if they end up getting it. So it's like, imagine how they could end up walking into that Kansas game and it kind of end up being a letdown game. Now, I'm not going to guarantee them a win, Kansas. I'm not, because they do have to play Texas at home in that game, and it's hard to win against Texas there. But it's like, I kind of feel like Oklahoma got a shot. Like, I haven't lost faith in Brent Venables. It's like, I don't know why you don't have the faith in them that I do, but I think that Oklahoma is going to be a much better team this year. I don't feel like they're a challenge for this conference this year. I still feel like they'll be a 9-win team, but I still do feel like they could potentially shock some people. But I really do like Kansas and Texas Tech, and then I like Oklahoma too.
Yeah. Watching Max Duggan look like prime Patrick Mahomes and Tay Barber look like, gosh, what's his face on the Miami Dolphins? Tyreek Hill against Oklahoma. I watched that game. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And I know they were gutted, but 52, I think it was the final score was like 52 to 24 or 55 to 24. And in my mind, I'm like, come on, man. It's bad. But I could be proven wrong. They're recruiting very well. Oklahoma is. Kansas, I like what you said about them. They are, I know that Texas fans would rather most things in life occur to them than Kansas beating them for the second time under Steve Sarkisian. But they're really good offensively. They were, and I think they're number two in the Power Five in returning production. Yeah, and Jalen Daniels, Jason Bean, their backup returns, and he's like a great backup. They also have the running back. It's not Mason Fairchild. That's their tight end. They're really good tight end. Devin Neal, running back, definitely top 15, top 20 running back. And their O line was respectable last year. It should be good or great this season. And if their defense just improves a little, maybe they are like TCU. Maybe that's an underrated pick for the CFP, is like Kansas being last year's TCU. Good offense, win tons of close games. You have a defense that isn't great, but shows up when it matters. Now that I think about it, that might be one of my, not like bold predictions, but like best value pick. Might even make some somewhat not as large of a bold prediction as that, but like I might have to change my Kansas prediction after thinking about that.
I'm not going to pencil Texas in as a lock to win the Big 12, but on the scale of 1 through 10, I do have like a 8.5 out of 10 rating that they will win the Big 12 this year. What about you?
You think Kansas State can do it? That's what
I
you're
don't
asking.
I don't know. Like I get why Kansas State has so much hype behind it, but it's like I feel like Kansas is going to be a little bit better. Texas Tech is going to be a little bit better. Like I really feel like those two teams are going to be above them this year. But I'm not going to discredit them. Like I do like their quarterback. He reminds me a little bit like Dak Prescott. But
Will Howard?
yeah, like I like Will Howard a little bit, but it's like I just think that Texas Tech and Kansas are gonna have better squads this year, and Kansas just has so much coming back, and they just have the more dynamic quarterback. So I think that
Yeah.
Texas is probably gonna win it, but I'm not gonna say they're a sure thing to win it. I wouldn't say, oh, the Big 12 is Texas to lose.
Yeah. Kansas is not Kansas, but Kansas State. Kansas State, I was originally very high on after 2022, like knowing that Will Howard would return, get nice receivers. Ben Sinot, their tight end, he's back. They returned Cooper Beebe and the entire offensive line. But just doing more research and their run game, huge part of their success. And they just lost Deuce Vaughn, though they picked up Florida State's backup in the portal. Forget his name. I apologize. And a few other receivers in the portal. I just don't know with them. I think that I just think that Texas is going to be better. And there's just something about how TCU and Kansas play football that I really like in the Big 12. And then the other team that you mentioned, Texas Tech, that's a very that's another team that could do what TCU did last year. They return production. They have a lot of COVID seniors. I don't know why I'm not high on Texas Tech. Like, because I like the direction they're going as a program, but I'm going to have to think about that one more because I'm not high on them. They have a really good D line and a good quarterback, but I guess I have to do a little more digging, or maybe I'm onto something that other people aren't.